Where would you say is like the blue ocean of your growth at this point? Like, where's your edge right now? And I can, I'll give you a second to think about it. My edge is that I've moved from, I think I've spent a lot of my career and time and energy essentially becoming incredibly good at intellectually processing things. And now I'm I would say in 2019, end of 2018, 2019 began the transformation of my emotional processing of things. And for a minute, I was confused through the lens, or I was kind of
You said end of 2019?
to the end of 2018 and the beginning, or the all of 2019.
All of 20, okay,
yeah,
got it.
So basically, when you and I met, I was like in the first deep dive of, okay, my brain has gotten me so far, but now I cannot go further in my impact, and everything I share is just not going to land, even though I have all the different tools and I know all the hacks, as you know, of like what it takes to gain attention online. And so I've actually spent almost all of 2019 not scaling my content. And people ask me like all the time, they're like, well, wait a second, you're the guy who knows how to scale all this stuff. Why aren't you doing it? And I'm like, because right now I'm in the dojo. I'm making the content, which is important for me to build that consistency. But I'm in the dojo of attaching my emotions into that content in and of itself. Right. And for me, I learned, or the way it was communicated to me for a long time was, you're feminine. You have to be in touch more with your feminine. What I've recognized is I actually am very much in touch with my feminine in many ways. And I actually use my EQ a ton, but I don't bring that forward. It's not the way I present myself. It's not the way I've shown up in certain ways. And certain people in certain situations have led to my transformation of that, right? Like just recognizing that even though it might be irrational that somebody just needs words of affirmation, even though I'm giving them every other love language in that moment, right? Like I'm hugging you, I'm saying all the things, everything I'm doing with my actions, for example, everything I'm gifting is pointing in that direction. But without the words, somehow doesn't land. I'm realizing I can tap into something so much more powerful than what my mind is capable of. Which is that emotion, which is that authenticity. Because authenticity is a strategy. Vulnerability is a strategy. It's like, look on Facebook now. Everyone's trying to do these long ass posts to just fill up their coaching program. And like, we're all guilty in some way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to say guilty from the perspective of doing it. We've all done it in some way, shape, or form. I just believe that some people, including myself, have done it from a position of strategy rather than a position of like authenticity. In my experience of, yeah, exactly. Exactly. So my experience of you is that I really, truly believe that everything you are doing is from a place of authenticity. And it's not to say that you don't have strategy behind it. It's not to say that you're not conscious of the fact that, the impact that it has in another way, or the impact it can have to your wallet or whatever it is. But where would you say your edge is on that? Because as I'm breaking through on these different pieces, I know that my impact in this way, and in the way I think you create as well in some way, shape, or form, is going to start really being felt, not just seen. There's a difference between what I can do to get it seen, but felt. What's your edge at the moment?
Within authenticity or just in general?
Just in general. Where you feel like, oh, I'm butting up against a wall here. So for example, earlier you mentioned sometimes I have a resistance to doing breath work. I don't know why, right? I feel similarly, but that's not an edge that I'm actively working on or exploring at this moment. It's not my priority at this moment to figure out how I can do a fire breath for an extra 10 minutes a morning or whatever it is, right? So, and I've gone there. I mean, we legit, I've had Wim Hof sleep in my bed. Because we brought him to Montreal and we did a Wim Hof training on the mountain here in Montreal.
Got him drunk and just wanted to sleep with him?
I didn't get him drunk. He got himself drunk.
You want to cuddle him?
No, I didn't cuddle with him. I gave him my room. And totally. I literally gave him my room and we hosted him.
It's a way better story to leave it like you cuddled him.
Just leave it vague, yeah. No, but so for example, at that point, my conquering of cold actually happened in that moment. Like, I can live in Montreal because I don't fear the cold anymore. And it's for me, it's a huge benefit. There's lots of competitive advantages that come with that, both strategically, but it's also my hometown. And that's really why I'm here, right? So if I really tap into it, it's not just a strategic thing. I'm here because I love it. Where's your edge that you're deconstructing right now?
I mean, I got a couple.
Okay.
I got a couple. One is, let's go with the biggest one, I think, right now, is women. I'm single for the first time in over 11 years.
Wow.
And the last, like, the breakup happened, in, I think, September. So it was like 3 months ago. And in that 3 months since the breakup, there was like this back and forth, like, is this the right thing or whatever? It literally wasn't until the end of the year, like the end of the year, which was what, like 3 weeks ago, that I actually said, you know what? I'm letting this go. I'm not going back to this thing. This is the decision that I get to make in order to move forward. Right. And so for only 3 weeks since that decision. And like I said, to this morning, full transparency, for whatever reason, I dreamed about her last night. And this morning I woke up and could not get back to sleep. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, what the hell is this? And so I'm single for the first time in my entire adult life, and committed to being single for the first time, not wanting to have another, like, I don't want someone I love to come into my experience right now. I don't want,
because it's actually easier for you at this point.
Well, there's
in a weird way.
I think I said to you the other day, you know, for 11 years or whatever, I've had a partner. And so at least half of my energy has gone into the relationship and the partner. What do they want? What do they want to eat? Where do they want to go? What do they want to do tonight when I get home? Like, it's
some level of compromise, or, you know, co-creation, co-decision making.
And there's a lot of ROI to that in a lot of ways. And I'm so grateful for the ways that I've grown. And I'm curious what it looks like to pour 100% of my energy into me for an extended period of time. And so that's an edge for, like, what does it look like to really own me? And that's been like this morning, to use that example, I woke up and I'm like, okay. And I took out my journal and I started writing poetry and lyrics, because I'm stepping into music, which you've heard some of. And
amazing, by the way.
Thank you. And, like, I want to make music that plays on the radio. Not even the radio's outdated, but you know what I mean? Like, I want to make music that is mainstream, and continue to make poetry that expresses. And so I used to be someone that needed to be in a certain creative headspace to create. And that's why a lot of my early poetry was commenting on things that I saw: war, the Dakota Access Pipeline, racism. Like, it was commenting on these things. And now I'm stepping in. What does it look like to actually be in the moment of waking up and being this emotional angst, and be able to put that into art in the moment? And so that's a big edge for me, to do it. And so that's something I posted about it on Instagram, like, just yesterday. And that's one aspect of how I'm pouring into me. On the other side of it is, what does it look like to date? Like, what does it look like to meet women? Because I have had so many stories around sexual energy and relationships and different things. For example, being molested at a young age, the story that came up in my head, one of them was, it is not safe to be the object of sexual desire. So I went my entire life basically not wanting to be sexually desired. I wanted to be appreciated for my intellect. I wanted to be appreciated for my talent. I wanted to be whatever. But being sexy, that was not something that I wanted. And so that is a new thing, because in the dating world, like, you want to be seen as sexy. That's big. So
Totally.
How do I allow myself to move through my internal resistance around that as I do that?